Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to MALN Opinion Plus, a weekly series airing every Friday. This is a space for our opinions where we talk about current events and questions the Latino community is curious about. This week, we're joined by Carolyn Kirk, Executive Director of MassTech, a state agency that aims to make tech and innovation prosper across a variety of industries. Prior to her work at MassTech, Carolyn served 3 terms as mayor of the city of Gloucester and has had countless years of experience solving problems in local, city, and state government. Thanks for joining us today, Carolyn.
Thank you for having me.
So could you start off by telling our audience a little bit about MassTech's mission and the work you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, great. So it's the MassTech Collaborative, and we've been around for about 40 years. Our mission is to strengthen the tech and innovation economy of Massachusetts. And we make strategic investments, we cultivate partnerships with industry, other government agencies, and academia. And through that collective, we harness insights that we can use to benefit economic development in the state.
No, when you talk about it, I can tell you're excited about the work you guys are doing. Could you tell me a little bit about what made you take on this role as executive director?
Well, the portfolio is very, very broad. And I ran a city. And so when you run a city as a mayor, you have a huge portfolio. But the most interesting part of the work was transforming the economy of the city and really going from a single industry to diversifying the economy and growing jobs. And, that's what really benefits people, improves quality of life, and makes for vibrant, robust communities. And so at MassTech, I really liked the portfolio. And I'll give you an overview of the divisions that we have. We have the Innovation Institute, which focuses on emerging tech. So what's around the corner? Quantum, blockchain, AI, robotics, which is actually here. And so they really look at cultivating that next generation of innovation. We have the Mass eHealth Institute, which is focused on digital health. And that's been super important through the pandemic and all the tools that have been needed to be used to get healthcare remotely, telemedicine being one example. The Mass Broadband Institute is focused on bringing broadband infrastructure to the parts of the state that are under or not served. Believe it or not, when we started, there were 53 communities in the state who had no or very little broadband infrastructure. So we're solving that problem. Now we're moving on towards overcoming the digital divide. The Mass Cyber Center works on protecting municipalities and our other critical infrastructure assets around cybersecurity. And then we have the Center for Advanced Manufacturing, which is bringing investments for innovative manufacturers and others, 7,000 manufacturers in the state, and helping guide them through their transformation into more advanced technologies.
Those all sound so important. Is there a field that specifically interests you or that you just think you have a lot of fun with?
Well, I would say, I have division heads leading every single one of those areas. So in the Cyber Center, we have a retired Navy captain who spent almost 30 years in the Navy as a cyber warrior. And she just is a rock star. So she's been really, really fun to work with. But probably my favorite thing is these towns in Western Mass that had no internet whatsoever. We have probably overseen the planting of 60,000 telephone poles to string fiber out in those neighborhoods. And there was no example greater than the pandemic that illustrated and rose to the surface the importance as students were forced to learn over Zoom or remotely, that work has so important, had such an impact, and we're so grateful we got a head start on it before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, it's so interesting how that internet connection has become so much more important over the past year and a half. I know that MassTech supports a multitude of other programs that are aimed at helping young and talented individuals find support and mentorship in their sort of pursuit of a career in tech. Could you tell me about some of these programs?
Yeah, we're very grateful for the legislature and the administration to have line item funding for internship and mentorship programs. And I can highlight a couple. One of the organizations that we support is E for All, which is actually Entrepreneurship for All, but shortened to E for All. They started in Greater Lowell and they've expanded across the state and actually have programs nationally now. And they also have a program for Spanish-speaking entrepreneurs called E para Todos, which they work in Holyoke, Lawrence, and Lynn. And E for All helps small businesses. And I'll give you an example. When the explosions happened in Merrimack Valley in Lawrence, from the gas company lines that blew up, those businesses were devastated. And E for All went in and helped guide those little businesses, the bodega, the small barbershop, the bakery, in how to navigate the claims process with the big gas company to get reimbursement for their business losses. And so that was an example of the services that E for All provided in super organization.
Yeah, that sounds so important. So I did also want to touch on, I think and you touched on it a little bit about Y para Todos. And I think it's really crucial in the development of the field of tech to keep it diverse and full of people from all different walks of life, because we can see those experiences manifested in the work that they do and the things that they create. Could you tell me a little bit about why you and MassTech think diversity in tech is so important?
Well, we are big believers in collisions. So innovation takes place by colliding ideas and colliding people, whether it's government, academia, and industry, all coming together. And then you also need those collisions of culture and collisions of perspectives and age and race and economic, demographic perspectives. And all of that creates better ideas, stronger support for the ideas that, if you're sitting in a vacuum by yourself, talking amongst yourself with people that all share your point of view, just busting through new ideas and having innovation occur in that environment versus the mixing of lots of different perspectives. That's what we find is so critical in innovation and keeping innovation alive and thriving.
I think that was really well put. I think the idea of the collisions that creates really paints a picture in your head of how important that is. Could you maybe tell me a little bit about your guys' supportive programs that also support diversity, like Hack Diversity?
Yep. Yeah, Hack Diversity has been a really interesting program that we have supported. We probably awarded almost $500,000 to a couple of programs. One was including Hack Diversity, and the funding that we provided allowed the program to hire a couple new program managers, which opened up the number of people that could come in. And the focus is on diverse fellows. They come in for 8 months and they get mentorship and professional development. And this is really important because, whether it's resume building or, digital skills, or there's a whole range of readiness for folks that has to take place before someone can get placed with an employer for a job. And the other part of the equation is to have the employer be ready to receive candidates. And rather than just go to your cookie cutter schools, Ivy League, whatever, let's open our aperture and bring in so many more folks with diverse backgrounds, sometimes the employers need to understand how to do a better job at overcoming unconscious bias, having inclusive hiring practices. So we like Hack Diversity because it covers both parts of the equation.
Of course, those are so important. And then just in the last few minutes here, I wanted to kind of just pick your brain about technology in general. And I was wondering, how do you feel about the rate at which technology is currently growing and changing in our society, especially with outside pressures like COVID and just politics in the United States? And how do you think we can ensure that our technological practices remain ethical and inclusive of everyone?
I think, well, a couple things. What we're seeing is the technology, clusters that we normally would see are all converging. So you can't talk about advanced manufacturing without talking about robotics, without talking about AI or artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. So it is the convergence of the technologies given the advances that those technologies represent. So instead of pulling from one pipeline, if you're a robotics company and I just need a roboticist, I got to pull from 2 or 3 different pipelines. That's an enormous demand for talent. So the key is to create those opportunities, tap the untapped talent that is out there, and give them the tools to enter these types of professions. That's what we hear about all the time from our employers that we work with, is the talent crunch. Well, let's open the doors. Let's go to non-traditional sources of pipeline candidates.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see too. Like, it'll be interesting to see how all those different perspectives and different areas of collision are going to create new things for us to experience in the future. Are there any resources we talked about today or anything you'd like to share with people watching that might be interested in MassTech and the work you guys do?
Absolutely. Our website is actually really robust. It's masstech.org. And on there, if you poke around, we have lists of entrepreneurs support organizations. You can find that. If you're looking to a pathway into a tech career, you can visit the Tech Foundry, which we didn't have a chance to talk about, but you can learn about that on our website. Hack Diversity, you can learn about Mass Cyber Center, and we have a mentorship program, and they are accepting applications until September 17th. And we're looking for diverse candidates, again, opening up that pipeline for more and different talent to come through. Cybersecurity is a growing industry and they need help. And also we do a lot of work with Mass Hire in helping folks overcome digital divide. All of those programs, all that information is listed on the masstech.org website.
Amazing. And we'll be sure to include links and resources below our article as well.
Great.
I just want to thank you again so much for talking with us today, Executive Director Kirk, and for being our guest on MALN Opinion Plus.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Join us for another episode next week. For more information about our discussion today, check out our web story at malatinonews.com. Follow us on Twitter at malatinonews and Instagram at ma_Latino News. I'm Diego Viruel with MALN Opinion Plus. See you next time.